Welcome to Midlands Climate Conversations. I'm your host, Tariro, and today I am joined by four illustrious guests. Could you please introduce yourselves, starting from my left?
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Mbaina Chigara, the coordinator of the Midlands Climate Conversations.
My name is Rukuzu Takavarasha. I'm a social worker, volunteer from Hope Itembelani Tariro.
My name is Nyashama Wende, Disability Voices Zimbabwe Director.
Thank you so much. I'm Evelyn Musipa, Project Coordinator from Hope Itembelani Tariro organization.
So today we're going to be talking about climate change and how it affects people in different communities. This has been a series that we've been following in the past few episodes. So today we have a new perspective. We're going to be hearing from Itembelani Hope Tariro Foundation. Let's hear from Itembelani.
Okay, thank you so much. As Hope Itembelani Tariro, we're working with the vulnerable communities. We work with the widows, orphans, victims of lived experiences of HIV and AIDS. We are also working with the girl child, looking at the girl child. So in the vulnerable community, the climate change has really affected, especially the widows. As mostly you find out home setups, baba ndo breadwinner.
Yes.
Is the one anotsvaga mari, is the breadwinner. So as soon as that person dies, asara, you are a widow. It looks like the world has come to an end. No, so when you are used to just be on the receiving side, not on the giving or looking for something, it becomes a challenge. At the end of the day, you find most of these widows, they end up with mental health challenges, depression, anxiety. How am I going to feed these children? How am I going to afford school fees and everything? So it has negatively affected the widows. At the same time, it impacts also, the negative effect also impacts on the orphan child. You find that mostly there are a lot of school dropouts just because the mother cannot afford to pay for the fees. Right, school dropouts. And especially this time of droughts, with this year's season year drought, you find like a bucket of maize meal is going for $10. And the woman, Asara, Asara, she's not employed. She's relying on my piece jobs. I don't know one in the community like washing. And those, you don't find them every day. So sometimes you find in a week they make about $3 to $5. You have my rentals to pay, you have my bills to pay, you have school fees. And at the end of the day, they cannot afford my meals. The meals. You find, there's a house I went to assess. I don't have anything after kuchikoro. So you find at the end of the day, most of them vanotiza are going down the street. They start staying on the street, begging. They see as if life you go beg. It's better off no one amari. So when they go in the street, they are exposed to criminal activities. They're exposed to abuse, like the girl child, the sexual abuse, you end up pregnant, unsafe abortions, even drug and substance abuse. They are also engaged in drug and substance abuse. No question, never in street. And also for those victims of lived experiences of HIV and AIDS, we have those who are on art. So you need a good, well-balanced diet when you're taking medication. In fact, any form of medication, you need all the nutrients, you need a balanced diet. So you find in most of these vulnerable communities, they are now defaulting, taking medication. So it also has a negative impact on the victims of HIV and AIDS.
Thank you, Eve, for your insights. Now, looking to Rukuzo, from your organization, how have you been adapting to climate change and how have you been impacting others through those adaptation methods?
All right, thank you for the question, Tariro. So actually, as Hope Itembelani Tariro, concerning the climate change, first of all, I'll just touch on the effects. So when we're talking about climate change, it causes poverty and drought, which is the part of the Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 1 and 2. So when you're talking about climate change, it also affects SDG number 13, that's climate action. So us as an organization, what we are trying to do to ensure that we stop poverty and drought, it is also important to note that once we have poverty and drought, it's going to affect the children, particularly the orphans. They can't go to school. So us as an organization, we value education, the right to education for the children, in light with the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So we are trying as much as we can to link these service users with the Department of Social Development, so that they can be linked to access to BIM. Us as an organization, we're also helping some children with school fees and providing books for them to ensure that they won't end up not getting quality education. That's another way we are trying to adopt to climate change. And then the other thing that was said by my colleague there, when she was talking about the effects of climate change. So another effect of climate change is that once poverty stays, particularly the girl child, they are forced to be involved in prostitution, which is also called commercial sex work. So once we ensure that these children, they go back to school, it's another way that we are trying to combat the effects of climate change. So that's what we are trying to do as Hope Itembelani Tariro, in short.
Thank you so much, Rukudzo.
Okay, also to add on what Rukudzo has said about how Hope Itembelani Tariro is adapting to the changes, we have sustainable projects for widows that we are doing, NEMA widows in the vulnerable communities. We support them soap making and also broiler keeping. Okay. Yes, we support them with those projects, and before we give them the projects, my ingredients, we approach government departments like Ministry of Women Affairs, so that they do training on saving money, and also on how to when they get their money, how are they going to share it? So it's like they need a training, an ongoing training, which will be monitored on a weekly basis. And we also have organizations like Feed Mix, broilers and the like, and also personal projects. We are also training them with Maria Vanayo. They do have anoti mukando, where they save the money at the end of the day. My groceries per month, and they share the profits, the money. It's some of the things we are doing in the communities.
Thank you so much, Eve, for that.
Oh, welcome.
Now moving on to Vimbai. What comments, what reactions can you give to what we're learning about today?
Okay, from what we are learning about today, I have had an insight from the disability community, insights from the vulnerable communities. Overall, what I can say is that climate change is really a problem to all of us. And we really appreciate the efforts that are being done by Hope Itembelani. The projects that they are doing in the core community, they are very important in empowering vulnerable groups. Women, orphans, you are doing a lot. And I think that as a society, we need to learn from them so that we can replicate, we can support their initiatives so as to help the vulnerable groups. Coming also to disability voices in Zimbabwe, we really appreciate the work that they are doing in the communities, trying to educate them about climate change, trying to raise awareness. Which is a key factor. If you know about climate change and if you have access to information like that, it helps the disability community to stay aware and to know what's coming for them, and to also actually invent some, some ways or some adaptation strategies that you are doing. It's a great work, and we encourage you to keep teaching them, to keep disseminating information in regards to climate change and how best the community can adapt to these changes.
All right, thank you so much, Vimbai. Well, that was it for today's episode. I would like to see you next week. From me and the crew behind the scenes at Midlands Climate Conversations, I would like to thank Hope Itembelani Tariro organization. I'd also like to thank Disability Voices in Zimbabwe for coming to today's episode. And until next week, it's goodbye for now. No one knows about it
Until we talk about it.